When I told the relocation officer I wanted peace, quiet, and enough privacy to forget the existence of my previous landlord, I did not expect to be dropped onto a planet where the trees bent politely, as if bowing, and the grass hummed when stepped on, like distant bees performing backup vocals. Cerilia looked like paradise built from a dream someone had after licking an alien mushroom. Light lavender forests swayed under twin moons, and I breathed air so fresh my lungs assumed I was joking. I stood outside my newly assigned home, wooden-looking structure that was somehow grown rather than built, and soaked in the solitude. Finally, I thought, a quiet start, a clean slate. A place where my biggest concern would be deciding which moon had the better Instagram angle. Then I turned and saw her, standing on the neighboring porch, close enough that I could identify her perfume as nature plus mystery. Was a woman. Tall, slender, with long ash-colored hair and even longer pointed ears that twitched as if listening to frequencies humans weren't meant to hear. Her eyes were wide, emerald, and locked on me with the intensity of someone observing a myth or a suspiciously shaped cloud. She didn't smile, she didn't blink. She just stared, head tilted, scribbling notes onto a glowing, translucent tablet. I waved, friendly, harmless, universal. She recoiled as if I'd flashed a weapon, then returned the wave, but the gesture she made looked ceremonial, like she was blessing me or swearing vengeance. Hard to tell which. Inside the house, everything responded to voice commands, though half my requests were met with polite confusion. I asked the lights to turn on. Instead, the oven sang a short musical number about culinary responsibility. Still, it felt cozy. Alien but cozy. After unpacking, or more accurately placing my single suitcase in the corner and deciding that was good enough, curiosity won. I stepped outside again, and that's when I realized she wasn't alone. Every porch, every balcony, every window carved into the living trees surrounding my home, occupied by alien women who looked similar to my first spectator. Long ears, graceful posture, eyes reflecting curiosity and something just a little more unsettling, anticipation. Some whispered, some pointed. One drew what I sincerely hoped was a sketch and not a wanted poster. Trying to appear calm, I took a step and instantly tripped on a vine that coiled playfully around my ankle, as if the planet itself wanted a better look at the new exhibit. The audience gasped softly in unison. I bowed, unplanned, and one alien clapped politely. Good. Nobody likes a performer who can't improvise. The woman from the nearest porch finally approached, descending stairs that formed under her feet as the wood shifted at her touch. She stopped in front of me, chin raised slightly. "You are male," she said, voice melodic like she was speaking while harmonizing with herself. "That's the rumor," I replied. She blinked 3 times quickly. I wasn't sure if that meant shocked, impressed, or deeply offended. "And human," she added. "Yes, human, not dangerous, mostly." She wrote something down. "I am Selah of House Cerilia. We have been waiting for your arrival." My heart rate doubled. Waiting, for me, I'd never been waited for in my life, not even by pizza delivery. "Ah," I said intelligently, "why?" Selah's expression remained unreadable. "There are many theories. They will fight about them later," loudly. The other neighbors nodded, which made the situation both more validating and more alarming. Selah leaned in slightly, inspecting my face as if searching for a barcode. Then surprisingly she smiled, not wide but enough to soften her features. "You may relax," she said. "We do not intend to harm you." She paused. "Unless you provoke us, or gesture incorrectly before the council, or step on the singing grass during morning hour, or—" "Let's stop that list early," I said. A soft laugh escaped her. First laugh of the planet, achievement unlocked. Selah gestured for me to follow her toward a glowing path that lit up with each step she took. The other women watched silently, like spectators deciding whether the plot was interesting enough to continue. As we walked, Selah spoke again, calm and matter-of-fact. "You arrived sooner than predicted." The legends gave no exact timestamp. "Legends," I repeated, voice cracking slightly. That sounds casual. She nodded. Some believe you bring prosperity, others believe ruin. A few believe you will confuse everyone and leave. That last group, I said, already seems very wise. The path pulsed beneath my feet, the forest shimmering as if listening. Selah glanced at me with unreadable curiosity. Whatever the truth, she said, your arrival means change. And we will all be watching. I noticed she didn't say that as a threat, but it wasn't exactly comforting either. After all, I had come here for peace and quiet, yet somehow I'd become the main attraction in a neighborhood where privacy was about as real as Earth's politicians' promises. If this was a fresh start, it certainly had an audience, and long ears ensured they wouldn't miss a thing. The council building looked like something grown by a horticultural artist with a flair for intimidation. Massive roots curled upward into archways that pulsed with light, and flower-like structures opened as we approached, releasing a pleasant scent that reminded me of mint mixed with "you better behave." Selah led me through a corridor where walls shimmered with moving images, scenes of past events, legendary figures, and at one point what looked suspiciously like someone tripping over the same vine that sabotaged me earlier. It was comforting to know slapstick was universal. "Do not speak until spoken to," Selah whispered as we reached a large chamber carved into living wood that glowed like stained glass from the inside. "And whatever you do, do not attempt humor. They do not appreciate humor." "Oh," I said, "then I'm doomed." 5 counselors sat on elevated platforms, each wearing robes that seemed woven from starlight and judgment. Their long ears curved more dramatically than the common citizens, giving the impression they could detect sarcasm from planets away. The central counselor leaned forward. "You are human," she said. Unless Selah snuck in a quick species change while I slept, that was accurate, I nodded. "And male." "Still checking that box, yes." A murmur rippled through the chamber. I couldn't tell if they were horrified or intrigued, or both. "Definitely both. We have studied legends," another counselor spoke, her voice deeper, resonating through the room like a vibration felt in bone. "Your arrival fulfills ancient prophecy." I raised a hand slightly, just enough to be respectful but not too much to accidentally trigger a marriage proposal. "Just to clarify, good prophecy or bad prophecy?" "That," the central counselor replied, "is what we must determine." Selah stepped forward. "With respect, Counselor Varin, perhaps we should allow him time to learn our customs before casting judgment." One of the counselors tilted her head so slowly it felt like time itself paused. "You defend him, Selah." Selah didn't flinch. "I observe him." "Same thing," I muttered quietly. The central counselor tapped a crystalline sphere embedded in her platform. It projected a holographic script of symbols swirling like fireflies. "The legend speaks. A man of the old sky returns. He bears ruin and renewal, fear and salvation, confusion and clarity. His presence shall divide until unity rises." I leaned to Selah. "That's vague enough to mean anything." She whispered back, "Yes, legends are written by committees." The council continued questioning. My intentions, my skills, my past life, whether I possessed hidden powers, glowing birthmarks, telepathic abilities, or an unusual number of elbows. I answered honestly. I had no magic, no grand mission, and only the standard number of elbows too. "That," Counselor Varin concluded, "is disappointing." Eventually, presumably satisfied I was either harmless or too incompetent to orchestrate doom on purpose, the council dismissed me with the condition that my behavior would be monitored. Closely, constantly. Selah escorted me from the chamber, her long ears shifting as if trying to shake off tension. "That went better than expected," she said. "Really? Did you expect them to throw me into a pit?" "There was a vote," she replied casually. "Great. Democracy at work." As we walked through the settlement, Selah explained more of their customs, which gestures meant hello, which meant challenge, and which meant, "I admire your hair follicles." Apparently I performed that last one accidentally twice. "You will need guidance," she said. I smiled. You volunteering. Her silence carried a weight that felt surprisingly gentle. I understand outsiders more than most, and I do not wish you to fail. We reached the market square where alien women bartered glowing fruits, hovering trinkets, and fabrics that changed color depending on mood. Dangerous gifts for anyone in a relationship. When I appeared, conversation stopped instantly. All eyes turned to me as if someone had just announced the arrival of the galaxy's last donut. One young alien approached, holding a fruit that looked like a neon star. For the human, she declared proudly. What does it do? I asked. It sings, she said. I looked at Selah. Should food sing? Only during festival season, she replied. Otherwise it is considered rude. I took the fruit. It hummed a tune suspiciously similar to a 90s boy band melody. The crowd murmured approvingly. Small progress, but progress. As Selah and I left the market behind, the twin moons rising like watchful eyes, she spoke softly. Some fear you, some hope for you. Most simply wonder. The prophecy may not be about miracles or destruction. It may simply mean change. And change, I said, has a terrible sense of humor. Her smile was small but real. Then perhaps you were the right one to send. The crisis began with a tremor, so subtle I thought my stomach simply disagreed with the singing fruit I'd eaten for breakfast. Then the ground pulsed, twice, followed by a distant droning hum that made the air vibrate. Selah froze mid-step, ears lifting sharply like antennae detecting bad news. That sound, she whispered, is the shield failing. The planetary barrier, an energy field that protected Cerilia from radiation storms and very rude meteors, should not hum, tremble, or sigh despairingly. Yet it did all three as Selah dragged me toward the council chamber. The entire settlement moved with us, long-eared women rushing with urgency and controlled panic, which looked exactly like normal panic except with straighter posture. Inside, the council chamber flickered with failing light as holographic displays sputtered. Councillor Varin addressed everyone with a voice that echoed unevenly, like the sound system lost confidence. The core stabilizer has malfunctioned. If the shield collapses, our planet will be exposed. Exposed, as in cooked by cosmic rays, blasted by debris, and maybe lightly stir-fried in space weather conditions. The neighbors did not cheer. I stepped closer to the display, studying the stabilizer schematics. It looked like a mix between an engine, a crystal chandelier, and an existential crisis. Your power grid is routed through organic conduits, I noted. Councillor Varin raised an eyebrow. Yes, is that a problem? Only when the conduits panic. Organic technology, self-healing, responsive, efficient, also had a known downside. It reacted emotionally. And right now, the stabilizer was having the equivalent of a nervous breakdown. This system needs a manual reset, I said. But you'll have to reroute the pressure buildup to something strong enough to handle it. Selah stared at me as if I'd grown a second head, but in a helpful way. What do you suggest? I exhaled slowly. The old irrigation reservoir. There was a long silence followed by murmurs of disbelief, confusion, and someone whispering. What is a reservoir? We moved quickly. The stabilizer chamber glowed with unstable energy, the crystal core pulsing like a heartbeat having a dramatic moment. Selah and I worked side by side, me applying old Earth engineering logic, her adjusting the sensitive Cerulean systems with precision, and the occasional glare when I almost touched something explosive. Why are you helping us? She asked quietly while reconnecting energy ducts. Because, I said, tightening a conduit clamp, these people may think I'm disaster or salvation, but mostly they just stared at me while I unpacked. And weirdly, I don't hate that anymore. She smiled, not sarcastic or cautious, for the first time full and real. You are not what we feared. Fears are rarely accurate, I said, mine included. The final switch, one simple, ancient-looking lever waited. I hesitated. If I pull this wrong, I said, there's a small chance the reservoir launches itself into orbit. A small chance. Very small, maybe. Selah sighed. You understand this is why committees write legends. With a breath and arguably reckless confidence, I pulled the lever. Light burst through the room, not destructive, but brilliant, cascading through walls, flowing through the organic conduits like water turning into sunrise. Outside, the shield roared back to life, a shimmering dome of emerald and gold sealing the skies. The planet exhaled. So did the people. So did I. The aftermath was surprisingly celebratory, though they needed a few minutes to determine whether I deserved applause or mild scolding. The council, after impressive amounts of eyebrow-lifting debate, declared the legend fulfilled in the acceptable direction. Sayla approached me as the crowd dispersed. Her long ears relaxed for the first time since my arrival. "You have changed things here," she said. "I just fixed a power issue," I replied. "No," she countered softly. "You changed us, and perhaps yourself." She wasn't wrong. I had come seeking isolation, convinced solitude was safety. Yet among curious eyes and unpredictable customs, I found connection, humor, and a sense that maybe being seen wasn't punishment, it was belonging. The next morning, I stepped outside with a cup of Cerulean tea that tasted like mint, lightning, and confidence. The neighbors were still watching, but now they waved, smiled, and one offered fruit that didn't sing anymore, which was a beautiful improvement. Sayla stood beside me. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she said. And for the first time on any planet, it felt exactly like